Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hubar begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, Tasmania's Health Department says our state is yet to be affected by the latest highly infectious COVID strain. Medical professionals are concerned the variant will further impact our severely fatigued health system, pleading with Tasmanians to do their bit to prevent a further crisis.
Termed the Kraken, this COVID variant doesn't just have a frightening name.
We've got a new variant coming, a new mutation, which by all reports is a really scary version of the virus.
It's been branded as highly infectious, but medical professionals aren't panicking yet.
A variant can be more infectious, but not produce any more severe disease than other variants.
The Department of Health says BA5 is still the most common kind of COVID in the state, with this pattern similar to what's happening across the rest of the country.
It hasn't arrived in Tasmania to our knowledge, but certainly there have been cases in New South Wales and Victoria that have been recognised.
The government says it's taking a cautious approach.
We're flexing up the health system where we need to, and I would encourage people to take the advice of public health going forward as well.
Anything that puts extra pressure on our currently overwhelmed state health system is going to be a problem.
Political opponents say they'll back any health advice, but are calling for it to be released publicly.
If the government is expecting Tasmanians to follow the advice they're giving, particularly around something like a health pandemic, they need to be transparent about that advice.
We've gone from compulsory reporting of positive rats, daily COVID data updates to weekly updates and very loose statistics.
The public being asked to do their bit.
The state has systems in place for the variants, we know, but it's mostly up to the population to go back to the basics, which we have been now touting for almost 3 years.
Social distancing, masking up and getting vaccinated. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
We have some breaking news now, and a motorcycle rider is in a serious condition following a crash on the Tasman Highway near Bicheno. Police say the incident was between a vehicle and the motorcycle in the southern outskirts of the town. An ambulance helicopter has been dispatched to the scene. And in more developing news tonight, 2 avid bushwalkers are missing in the state's southwest. It's understood the 2 Victorians, Jayden and Kerry, have not checked in with family, which they say is unusual. The pair is understood to have recently been in the Mount Anne and Geeveston areas. They're travelling in a 2014 white 79 Series Land Cruiser with Victorian registration ID J3KG. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. The state government is being called on to release a sport and recreation infrastructure plan it promised by the end of last year. A draft version was released in April, with a consultation period following shortly after. Labor says there are numerous clubs around the state making do with limited or subpar facilities, with better planning needed.
Our facilities just don't comply anymore. So we've got 1 female toilet for 50 women, and they have no safe place to actually get changed now.
Without that strategy to guide community infrastructure investment, they're left to just battle through and make do with what they've got.
Some $30 million the government committed through levelling the playing field and improving the playing field since 2018. And that's generated almost $70 million worth of investment into community facilities across the state.
The Sports Minister says the strategy will be released in the near future. Athletes took to the roads this morning for one of Hobart's most iconic runs, the Cadbury Marathon. Starting and finishing outside the chocolate factory, there were a few sweet treats, tempting participants to reach the line in good time.
When you're halfway through a 42-kilometre race, things don't taste so sweet, even at the Cadbury Marathon.
Oh, tough, man. Struggle.
It was a sweltering summer's Sunday morning. The lactic acid was setting in and producing a few mixed reviews.
Loving it. Horrible. Cracking day.
Some focused on the scenery to help them through.
It's beautiful views, fabulous.
Others enjoyed the party. But all felt elated as they crossed the line and earned a few chocolates.
I don't know about chocolate being the best energy food, but it's certainly great recovery food. So the competitors will get a chocolate in their competitor bag as they cross the line.
The Cadbury Marathon is a staple of summer, now in its 40th year.
It's fantastic to see Caramello and Freddo walking around, and Cadbury have been fantastic sponsors of this event for such a long time. It's the longest running naming rights partnership in sport in Australia.
1,600 people in total lacing up their shoes with a half marathon, mini marathon and more on the program.
We've got competitors from 10 different countries and 600 visitors from interstate that have come specifically to compete in this event.
As for Tasmanians, it was often their second, third or even 10th time competing.
Oh, it's been over 10. I've done a number. I've done the full marathon 3 times, but the half marathon many times, and today was another go at the half marathon.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
It might come as a surprise to many, but Hobart is currently hosting a Soccer World Cup. The University of Tasmania event helping bring lovers of the world game together, also giving people a chance to live out their dreams.
Coming together to share in the game that unites the world. Hobart's football community having their chance to get a kick out of soccer.
It's definitely something that people are bringing their entire kind of family along to support.
Mount Nelson is a long way from the Maracana or Wembley, but for these players, this is their Qatar. The Hobart Football World Cup sees 16 teams battling it out to make the finals in February.
They nominate a country. If it's already taken, they need to find another country. But yeah, your countries like Greece and Italy and Croatia, they're heavily represented by people from those countries.
Nations like Italy, Syria and Malaysia are well represented. Others, however, are fielding a few ring-ins.
We do have the Bahamas. They're a new entry this year, made up of a number of former players and current players from our club.
I'd love the idea that it just brings together everyone like before the actual soccer season, and it's such a huge event now.
Now in its 3rd year, the city's multiculturalism is heavily represented.
So Nepal, I believe, have entered about 3 teams this year, one playing for Nepal. And that's really grown over the last couple of years.
Organisers say the tournament gives players the opportunity to live out their dreams and represent their country and emulate their heroes like Messi, Ronaldo and Neymar. But don't let the friendly atmosphere fool you. The desire to win looms large.
For some teams in particular, it is a moment to represent their country. Passions run really high in this competition.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The Hobart Hurricanes finals chances are slipping after another loss last night. Batting first against the Renegades, openers Caleb Jewell and Ben McDermott once again made a blistering start. But Hobart struggled to put any other meaningful partnerships together, eventually reaching 8 for 162 from their 20 overs. The Renegades were 3 for 54 at one stage before Sam Harper ripped the Canes bowlers apart with a powerful hitting display. His 89 off 48 balls included a whopping 7 sixes.
But now another high fully, and he sends that where it deserved to go. Oh, it's even bigger.
Melbourne reaching the target with 11 balls to spare. The Hurricanes are next in action tomorrow at Blunston against the Stars. And in the NBL, Scott Roth says his side needs to get tough or face missing the playoffs. The Jack Jumpers' playoff hopes took a hit last night, going down to Melbourne United 92-85 at MyState Bank Arena. After a tight first half, United broke the game open in the 3rd quarter before holding off a fast finishing Tasmania.
We're just going to come up a little short despite the heroics here from Doyle, who's stripped of it by Tucker, can celebrate with a jam.
Got to be tougher longer, and we're on to the next game. And again, you know, the message is quite simple. We got to win a few games, or we're not in the playoffs, and we go home. It's pretty straightforward.
The Jackies remain in the top 6 but are just a game in front of Perth. They face 2 season-defining clashes this week, away to Illawarra on Tuesday before hosting the in-form 36ers on Thursday. Meanwhile, Sophia Kennan is hoping the Hobart International will kickstart her rise up the WTA rankings. The 2020 Australian Open winner was this afternoon reaching new heights, taking in the view on top of Kunyani Mount Wellington. She has a mountain to climb this year, with an injury-plagued 2022 seeing her fall outside the top 200. The tournament holds a special place in her heart, winning here in 2019.
I feel like it's a great venue. I've always wanted to come back here again. I had nothing great but great experiences here a few years ago.
Kenan's first match is against China's Lin Zhu on Tuesday. Tasmania's best bowlers have converged on Trevellyn as Gala Week continues, with the quarter-finals in the open and mixed pairs and finals in the bowling arm pairs being played today. Jeff Buchanan and Joe Reisig took out the bowling arm pairs for the third time in a row. The Open Mixed Pairs Championship was reduced to just 4 pairs after round 16, and the quarter-finals were played at Trevellyn. Play resumes on Monday. Earlier in our bulletin, we brought you some of the colour from the Cadbury Marathon, but the action was well and truly on at the front as well. It was Victorian Richard Egan who took the chocolates in the men's event.
So I just sort of came here to try and, break 240. I was 6 seconds off in the end, to get the win, wrapped.
Egan edged out the first Tasmanian home, Matthew Bedford, who became the state marathon champion. The women's winner was experienced marathon runner Leah Fitzgerald, who travelled from Coffs Harbour.
The wind was just relentless today. It was a bit slower than what I thought it was going to be, but it was a challenge, so I enjoyed it.
She finished in 2 hours and 53 minutes.
Good evening. 26 in Hobart today, Launceston 25 and a top of 21 in Devonport and Burnie. Ouse reached 30, 28 in Grove, King Island, Friendly Beaches and Luncheon Hill all reached 23, Lyweenie 22 and 21 at Low Head, St Helens and Maria Island. Cloudy conditions cover the north this morning while skies remain clear over the rest of the state. An area of cloud lies over central Australia associated with ex-tropical cyclone Ellie, and there's also some thunderstorms lying over northern Queensland, and patchy cloud can also be seen over coastal areas of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia and WA. Tomorrow, a weakening cold front will cross Tasmania with some showers and thunderstorms possible, with several troughs and lows also impacting much of the mainland. North to northwesterly winds of 10 to 20 knots, reaching up to 25 in the northwest in the evening, with seas reaching 2 metres. A top of 23 in Hobart tomorrow, becoming cloudy there, partly cloudy and 24 in Dover, and Ouse a possible shower and 28. Cloud increasing for Launceston with a top of 30, some cloud cover also for Devonport and a high of 24 and 27 in Scottsdale. Partly cloudy and 23 in Burnie, Strawn 22 and cloud clearing and 25 at Stanley. Mostly sunny in St Helens, Swansea 23 and a top of 28 in Ross. And tomorrow's UV sits at an extreme 11 across the state. Isolated showers in the north and central areas on Tuesday, cloudy at first in the south with possible light showers before becoming mostly sunny. Wednesday, fine apart from a few showers about the higher ground in the northwest, Launceston 27 and 24 in Hobart. And fine and mostly sunny conditions across the state on Thursday. A top of 31 in Brisbane tomorrow, sunny in Sydney and Canberra, Melbourne 25, Adelaide 32 and sunny in 37 in Perth. And it's still sunny across the state, Hobart 25, Launceston 23 and 19 in Devonport. And some hot weather is on the way for the north tomorrow, so remember to stay hydrated.
And that's all your news for this Sunday evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.